Good day, friends. Crypto Kraut here. And today we're going to discover how the AVAX farms work, specifically those deploying the first balancer strategies. So we're going to head to the dApp and we're going to first click here on AVAX. Now let's have a look at the first balancer strategy. Now at first it seems a little bit simple, but there is actually a lot to this strategy. So as we can tell, you're able to deposit WAVAX, which is just wrapped AVAX, which goes into the Donkey Balancer pool, which is then put to Trader Joe. On Trader Joe, your AVAX is paired with MIM in the LP tokens, and those LP tokens are then deposited in Beefy. That is giving you a little bit of Beefy tokens, and it is also responsible for auto compounding. So that saves a little bit of fees from Donkey's side, and hence you're getting a little bit more profit. How would you make a loss? How would you make a gain in this strategy? Let's just cut out the part of the balancer pool first, and let's look at it from the perspective of depositing AVAX. So if you're depositing AVAX into this pool, ideally you would want AVAX to drop down and MIM to appreciate. That would result in you pulling out more AVAX than you initially deposited, irrespective of the APY. So you could make 200% APY on this pair here, and if AVAX drops against MIM or MIM rises against AVAX, then you would even have a magnified return because you would basically have impermanent gain. If MIM was rising against AVAX, you make a gain. If AVAX is rising against MIM, you make a loss. Okay, I just had to think about it for a second here myself. Before discussing the balancer pool, let's head to the USDT farm that is also running on AVAX. And as we can see, this is supplying the other side here for this pair. So in this example, we are starting out with USDT, USDTE, because it's on Avalanche. And that goes into the balancer pool, which is then sent to Trader Joe, where it is paired with AVAX and those LP tokens. LP tokens are basically just a receipt for you to have deposited into the liquidity pool. Those are then sent to Beefy Finance. Now, in this case, if it wasn't for the balancer pool, you would make a gain if AVAX rises against MIM, and you would make a loss denominated in USDT. If the other way around, almost losing track here. So let's talk about what the balancer pool is actually doing. We can head to the Medium article and see that the idea is to mitigate impermanent loss, which is a pretty great idea in itself, because of course the drawback to high APY usually is that it comes along with a lot of impermanent loss. High APR or APY is usually an indicator that the farm is already expecting impermanent loss to occur, and therefore they need to incentivize people with a high enough APR to supply their liquidity. That is the idea here. So how does impermanent loss look like here in this example? So you would pool USD and AVAX in a 50-50 ratio, and we are assuming here that the AVAX spot price is 100 USDT. So let's say AVAX rises 10%. So you would not have 10 AVAX anymore, but you would have more USDT. And if AVAX were to drop 50%, you would have a lot more AVAX, but roughly 30% less USDT. There is here this very, you'll see that on a lot of pages, the impermanent loss estimation model. This is basically what would happen if one asset moves against the other. You can see how much impermanent loss you would incur. Now, this is how it would look like without the balancer pool. And now we can have a look at how it would look like if we are deploying the balancer pool. So this is option B. Option A is without the balancer pool. Option B is with the balancer pool. So what Donkey, I'm gonna say balancer pool a lot here, but what they are doing with it is that they are redistributing the impermanent loss that people would have on the AVAX side, for example. If AVAX is rising against USDT, they would incur an impermanent loss. Whereas people supplying on the USDT side, they would have impermanent gain. So they would have more dollars than they put in, irrespective of the APR. So what Donkey is basically doing here is they are giving some of the impermanent gain to the people that were incurring an impermanent loss, and vice versa. So this is a very, very cool idea that basically allows you to farm more or less at the advertised APR, and it mitigates the impermanent loss, but also the impermanent gain that you would incur. So, of course, it is not possible to cut it out completely, but yeah, as we can tell, there's a lot of difference here. I mean, here in this case, the AVAX holders would be having impermanent gain. But if we're scrolling down, the people on the USDT side, they would be losing out, right? So if AVAX drops 50% and they supplied $1,000, now they would have $700. So it would be good for the people on the AVAX side, it would be bad for the people on the USDT side. But what the balancer pool is then doing is they are redistributing the gains and the losses, basically socializing them. So pretty cool idea. Going back to the Donkey page, this basically allows you to farm at 200% APY, and it is mitigating impermanent loss and impermanent gain. Very cool idea. It's the first time I'm seeing this deployed anywhere, and this offers a lot of opportunity, right? Just think of all the Deegan farms that are offering APY into the thousands, but you would probably get wrecked with impermanent loss. Now, if we can get two parties together here, one supplying the one side and the other side supplying the other side, yeah, we can mitigate the impermanent loss and gains and actually farm more or less for the advertised APY. Genius idea. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Let's talk about Trader Joe here. So Trader Joe is probably the most prominent AMM on Avalanche. I don't know a whole lot about them, but we can see they have been audited twice. I don't know any of these auditing companies. Again, I'm not putting too much weight personally on audits, but yeah, it is a criteria that people look out for. So I feel it is worth mentioning. So yeah, I'm not aware that they have been hacked yet. And since the AMM code is probably more or less copied, I think it should be rather safe because the code they originally copied, I'm just assuming here, has been audited before, times and times. So I think from the smart contract risk side, you're playing it pretty safe if you're going with Trader Joe. All right, so that's it for this video. Hope you find it helpful. There might be a few questions, that is expected. Let me know if I did a good job explaining this, or if I'll have to retry again. And yeah, sincerely hope you found it helpful. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.